My name is Jordan Hastings, and this is my very good friend,
Jordan Gauthier.
And we're going to walk you through the kit I'm using for the next couple of years on the new Alexisonfire cycle. So, I wanted to walk you through what we've got going on for the new Alexisonfire's tour cycle, drum-wise. I've got a brand new kit for this cycle, and it was made by Yamaha, and then customized by my good friend Jordan Gauthier here, who's my drum tech extraordinaire, and also a very, very talented drum builder. So let's go through it. So, we've got a Yamaha Maple Hybrid. We've got 12, 16, 18 toms. The difference with this one is, though, the wrap. So we got the wrap from a company out of New Jersey or New York, I believe.
Yeah, New York.
And it's a glass sparkle wrap, so it looks really, really sharp under the lights. And I went with a lighter color because the way the light refracts off of it, it'll adapt to any color you throw at it. So if we're doing like a Familiar Drugs kind of, the Familiar Drugs part of the set, the green that goes off of the Familiar Drugs part of the set really looks sharp. And then if you're doing other colors, we've got a purple part of the set, like a red part of the set. It all really looks really, really great with this wrap. So, and then I'll let Jordan tell you a little bit about the bearing edges, because the kit itself is not stock. Jordan did some work on the bearing edges.
Yeah, the fine folks at Yamaha actually sent the shells over to my drum shop. I run a business called YC Drum Company out here in Canada. And essentially they sent me over the shells, and then I wrapped them to match. And then the bearing edges, what's really cool about them is I'm very fond of the late 70s, early 80s Yamaha drums, specifically the Recording Custom series. So that's exactly what I did on the batter side edge, was that classic 45 degree with a nice fat round over. And it's great for what Beard does because it allows the drums to be very warm, but we still have them projecting since they're such a thin, beautiful maple shell. So with that bearing edge, we're allowed to tune the drums low, and it cuts a bit of the overtones. And then on the Rezo side, we did them slightly sharper just to allow them to project a little bit more, because at the end of the day, our goal, or my goal at least, with tuning these drums is to make sure that every person in the room, no matter what the size of room, and I mean, Alexisonfire plays some pretty big rooms, it allows the drums to project and everyone in the room can hear them.
Couldn't have said better myself. So, Jordo, we've got this new prototype snare drum that you've been working on. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so essentially I came up with this snare drum. It's somewhere between, a lot of metal snares on the market are actually either quite thick or quite thin. This sits somewhere, in the middle. And essentially I put it together in my shop, and I called Beard over here and I said, hey, you're the heaviest hitting drummer I know. I need someone to go take this out on the road and beat the crap out of it, and let's see how it stands up night after night. And it's been holding up great. It's cold rolled steel, 14 by 6.5 with rounded bearing edges. And it's a nice, very loud snare drum, but also very sensitive at the same time, which is great for, Beard plays a lot of grace notes during the set, and we need those grace notes to be heard, especially on a stage where there's, a lot of amps dimed. We need the snare drum to project as loud as possible, and I think we've accomplished that with this snare drum.
We definitely have. Yeah, the cool thing about it too, like you were just saying, is like, yeah, when you're hitting it hard, it projects. But my favorite thing about it is that the soft ghost notes do really, really, the microphones pick them up very, very well. So that's definitely an asset for me. So I've really enjoyed playing this snare drum. And then another thing we can go over is our cymbals. So I've been with Sabian cymbals for coming up on probably over 20 years now. I think I started off with them when I was probably 19 or 18, and I'm 40 now. So that gives you kind of an idea of how long we've been working together. And my favorite cymbal probably would be this one. This is a 22-inch Paragon ride cymbal. It was designed by Neil Peart of Rush. I'm sure you all know who that is. And so the thing that I like about it the most is it's really musical, but it also has a lot of definition when you're sticking it, but as well as the big ride. The big bell on the ride. So I like to use the ride bell for a whole bunch of different things. I do a lot of kind of weird offbeat kind of syncopated stuff, or like some sort of like a polyrhythmic kind of things. So I really like that, the way the bell sounds for that. It really cuts through. And then also it's with Alexis especially, I can use it for a lot for kind of crashing with it. It's really, really musical. So that's one of my faves. And then I've also got a couple other Paragons too. I've got the 20-inch Paragon Crash here, which is a great cymbal, also designed by Uncle Neil. And then we've got our 19-inch China. Most people don't use Chinas these days, but when I was coming up in the in the music world, it was a thing that we did, and it's you know, you want to give the people the same kind of thing that you were doing 20 years ago today. So it's still kicking around, and it's a lot of fun. And that's also a Paragon that was designed with Neil Peart and Sabian way back in the day. And then the other two are, I've got our AAX explosions. I've got a 19 here and an 18 here. This is actually the HHX explosion. And those are kind of staples. They're great for heavy playing, but they're also very musical as well. So for live purposes, this is exactly what I really like. And then the Splash, that's kind of been around on and off for the last 20 years as well. I was a big fan of Alice in Chains growing up, and Sean Kinney, who I've met a couple times now, great fella. He uses these things like it was going out of style, especially back in the day. And especially with Alexis, Dallas and I are big Alice in Chains fans. Sometimes we like to do cover songs and when we're doing sound checks and stuff, so that comes in handy for that. And then it comes in, we do use it live here and there too. And then hats-wise, we're using 14-inch AA medium hats. These things have been around for a very long time. Sabian's been making them for as long as I can remember. And they're just a very sturdy, very musical, very good hi-hat to bring, and they're durable as well. They're great to have on the road. These guys, take a little shot of those. These are the Promark Jordan Hastings Signature Series. I've been using these for a very long time. Promark is a lovely company that I've been working with for probably about 15 years now, maybe closer to 20 as well. They're owned by Diodario, and they've been very gracious with me over the last decade and a half. So these are just basically, they're just simple 5Bs, and I just really like the weight of them, and for the kind of stuff that we play, it really works well, and they're quite versatile. So yeah, big shout out to Promark for all the years of support. We really appreciate it. And then aside from that, this hardware, this is all Yamaha hardware. I've been working with Yamaha for probably about 15 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And this is only the second set of hardware I've ever gotten from them because I don't need it. Like, their hardware is so versatile, but it's so durable as well. So we just got this new set of hardware like a month and a half ago. And the last set before that I'd had for well over a decade. And it's been around the world a dozen times, and it barely ever tarnishes or breaks. So very durable stuff. I really like it. And then another new addition for this cycle would be the EAD10. So Yamaha shipped me one of these in the start of the pandemic, and basically what it does, it mounts to your kick drum, and it's got a trigger system in it, and it's got microphones in it as well. So it kind of picks up all of your drums and all of your cymbals all at once. It's got compression in it as well, but it also has a trigger. So for live purposes, I mainly just use it for changing the tempos for my BPMs for each individual track. And then I really like the trigger function because a lot of the playing in Alexis tends to be very, it's a heavy band, but I'm a single kick player. So I do a lot of bouncing with my right foot to get extra notes in there. And so the trigger effect really helps monitoring for me to be able to hear what I'm doing. And so it's great. It only comes to my ears. It doesn't go out front. Just great for me to be able to get the notes through that I want. And then it's super simple to go over here between each tune and then set up my different BPMs for whatever song we're going into. And then that's pretty much the gist of the kit for this Alexis tour cycle. So cheers! Thank you very much for spending some time with us, and thanks for DrumHeads Mag for taking the time. And we'll talk to you guys soon.